Hey, what's going on? It's Shit Talk Reviews. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is John. Of course, in the room with me, Eric and
David. Good to be here, guys.
Such a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Like I said, when the real world sucks, this is a great place to be, and a couple of good dudes talking about music.
Yeah, we got war in the world. We've got chaos at work. We've got a little bit of everything going on. But you know what? When the three of us get together, the hate is real and has a little tint of love.
Just a little. And the world is an ugly place right now. There's some really unpleasant stuff going on.
Politically, war. I mean, and we humans generally seem to be hating each other. But when it comes to the metal community, we are accepting. Like the black metal people will accept the hardcore people, and the hardcore kids will accept the punk kids, and the punk kids will accept the prog kids, and we all get along. So why can't everybody in the rest of the world take the lead of the metal community?
A good question.
Saying it forever. Nothing like metal fans. They're just phenomenal. They're the best.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some good metal today. We'll say we've gotten in the habit of assigning weeks. So this is Derek's week, and it's a good record. What are we talking about?
Yeah, Patriarchs in Black, my Veneration. And what's cool is that we already talked to Eric Morgan about the previous works. I've kind of known Johnny Kelly over the years. I helped a Pale Horse Named Death when he was in the band. And I've been thrilled with what Patriarchs in Black have done to date. And this album is another level up from what they've done in the past with some covers and some originals. And I'm excited to bring this to the table for you guys. It's a little bit of a change of flavor for what I usually do. Real heavy shit. This is a little bit more accessible, but in a really good way, in a fun way.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Johnny Kelly was the drummer in Typo Negative. And what else was Johnny in?
Quiet Riot.
Quiet Riot. That's right.
And Typo, you're right.
Yeah, he's been in Danzig. He's playing in Danzig still. Kill Devil Hill, who actually is back on the forefront. Mentioned Quiet Riot, Silver Tomb, Seventh Void,
Jesus,
and
busy guy.
He was in a Pale Horse Named Death for a while. He's done some Black Label Society. He was also in Seven Witches. So Johnny is the busiest man. Busiest drummer and the hardest working drummer in the metal community. And by God, he is the nicest human being. When you spend time with him, he'll look you in the eye and he will listen to what you have to say, whether you're a fan, a fellow musician, you name it. He is a pleasant human. His wife is lovely as well. She's a big dog rights advocate. And she's great too.
Yeah, and Johnny Kelly's partner in Patriarchs in Black is Dan Lorenzo, the Riff Meister.
Yeah.
Riff Meister, yes. Former Hades and Vessel of Light and Cassius King. Talented dude, man. And these are two people that have come together that it's obvious what their passions are. It's Black Sabbath. It's Led Zeppelin.
It's all Sabbath.
It is it is old school rock and roll. Kiss, you name it. Some of the old stuff. This is a ode. This is a chef's kiss. This is a love letter to the past and bringing it to the forefront. And you know what's interesting is I just went to Halloween Horror Nights and I wore a Typo Negative Bloody Kisses shirt. And I wore it when I was in Boston. The amount of millennials that are coming up to me saying Typo Negative, it's amazing to me. And Johnny kind of, I think, gets it and understands it. And I guarantee you that he is trying to bring the shit that inspired him when he was young to another generation. And I feel like this album hits a home run. It's familiar, yet it's new.
That's well said. It's refreshing to hear this type of music come out and it's fresh, right? Because you miss that old sound, that old, I don't want to keep saying Black Sabbath, but it's nice to hear that again, fresh.
And this
with 20 or so musicians.
Oh my God, the lineup on this record
and I'll be honest
crazy.
with you. Yeah, I don't know a lot of these names on here. I'm sure you guys do. And one of my questions was to both of you guys was, which one jumped out at you? Which one was like wow, they got this guy. I mean, they got DMC and some big names on here, but it was pretty cool to go through this roster and just see all these guys. Amazing. You know?
Yeah, the one that jumped out for perhaps obvious reasons is Daryl McDaniels,
Yeah.
from DMC, Run DMC. I would never have expected him to show up on a classic rock metal album, and it's great.
It is.
It's great.
Nice. It's refreshing, like I said.
I love my God, we could run down the list of everybody on here, but it's a big damn list.
Derek, any names poke out for you? Just one.
Carl, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Agel
from Corrosion of Conformity. Good Lord, Corrosion of Conformity. He's a beast.
Corrosion of Conformity's Blind album is probably for me one of the top 20 albums in my life. It's a high on my soundtrack of life, and he sang on that. It's a great album. Vote with a Bullet is just a killer track. So it's cool to hear him back in the forefront, and he is a nasty singer. So he's on a couple songs on here. Dead and Dying, he's on that, and it feels like more of a chanty old Corrosion of Conformity song, which was really cool. Obviously rooted in Black Sabbath. And then he's also on the digital track. So it in the end of the day, it's cool to see that, but the list is huge. It's awesome that they're taking different flavors and bringing it in, because in the end of the day, this really does feel like a love letter to the past, and letting people kind of take their creativity and their love of the past and make it modern today, so that younger generations can consume it.
Yeah,
I love that they brought a violinist in, Jonathan
cool.
Eng.
Yeah.
I hope I'm getting that right. His work, though it's not all over the whole record, is great. As you mentioned, our friend Eric J. Morgan is a bass player.
DeServio from Black Label Society. That's another big name. John DeServio.
Yeah, Johnny cool. Araya. I didn't even know Tom Araya had a brother.
Yeah, right? Me neither.
And he steps out on this record, so it's a big list. And apologies to anybody we missed. Mark Sunshine, again on this record. Great singer. I'm glad to see him pop up on this. And as you said, it has a lot of Black Sabbath vibes to it, which is just fucking cool, man.
Don't forget our boy Eric Morgan. He killed it.
That's what I said. Yeah, it was great to have
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The love for Eric is real.
It is real.
We see you, Eric. We see you.
We do. And I want to mention he did, and I feel like kind of a dick because I don't remember the guy he did the work with, but put out sort of an experimental atmospheric piece of music that is just beautiful. And we'll post it on our Instagram. If you haven't laid your eyes and ears on it, it's worth it. It's really cool. So good work, Eric.
This was a great listen, though, wasn't it? It was just like I said, it's just so nice to go back to old school and listen to this. It was good. We'll get into it, but
show them your power. For me, when it first kicked in, you could have very easily heard Bill Ward, Tony Iommi, and Geezer Butler in that. I mean, and greatness is often imitated and never duplicated. This track, man, when I first heard it, it felt like a real good duplication of Black Sabbath. And there's a void. The guys are old, right? Ozzy's falling apart. Iommi had cancer, and he's playing here and there, and I do understand that he's been writing, and so we might get some new music out of him. Geezer is largely retired. He's not coloring his hair anymore. Like, he actually looked like a grandpa last time I saw him. So this duplication is cool, but what's cool about the song is it flips and it goes away from Black Sabbath altogether into this almost Beatles like melody, and it's very catchy and very, very cool. And then a huge chorus and a big groove in the second half, and it's just, again, I want to use the term, it's a love letter. And it's a love letter in the best way possible.
A chef's kiss, a chef's kiss to Black Sabbath. Yeah,
it really is. And even some of the chorus parts of songs sound like Led Zeppelin. It's just that track really stood out for me. But the album as a whole is such a great listen. And there is odes in there to obviously Typo Negative. And there's little production tricks that I heard where you go hoo-ah, and then it goes into the chorus, or it goes into a solo, which is a classic Typo Negative thing. So there's so much to hear in here of bands that I love. And
Agreed.
and so for me, it was just a wonderful experience to listen to.
Yeah, some killer. You mentioned "Show Them Your Power." I love all the minor vocal harmonies in there, and "My Veneration." Again, great track. I love the vocals on it. They sounded almost a little pitched. I don't think they were, but I love the feel. Again, some really, really cool harmonies on there that evoke sort of a Lane Staley, Alice in Chains vibe, which just pleased me to no end. Great layering with the violin in there. It's just a super track.
For John, I thought of you on Crooked Smile. I don't know why. I don't know what it was, but it reminded me of Rabbit Hole with the Warehouseman. I thought of you. I'm serious. I thought of you.
Really?
Right. Maybe not so much the first few minutes with the organ and everything that went into it, but at some point, I even put it in my notes. Maybe it was the 29 or 30-second mark from on. Man, did it remind me of the Warehouseman with
That's
you
high
and
praise.
Joel. Yeah, I really thought
that.
it just had tendencies of that song, and it felt like the Warehouseman in a great way.
Well, thank you.
So I
take that as
thought
as,
on
as
that
a
song.
big compliment. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
The album is just packed full of really fucking great music.
Yeah,
and as you said, it's very accessible. It's not one of these albums like a lot of the stuff that we've been touching on lately that's so brutal or so aggressive or so just downright ugly that you can't play it around certain people. This is one of those albums that even if you're not a fan of metal per se, it's just a great, and I hesitate to call it just a standard rock album, because it is more. It does have a little more. It's got bigger balls than a standard rock record. I would call it a metal album, but it's a very accessible metal record. And all the nods to, whether it was intentional or not, but all the nods to other bands that you kind of pick up flavors of. It's almost unavoidable with this many, almost 20 guest artists on it. They're all going to bring different flavors.
Derek said it perfect. You could go through each song and just pick, like you just said, so many different things out of each song. Like "Hole in the Sky" was such it's a cover. But man, did they do a badass version of that, right?
Well, it's cool.
Sounded great.
You can go through each track and pick out little things.
No,
but
for sure.
The cumulative effect of all those little things get wrapped up into something that is labeled Patriarchs in Black.
Good point.
Which is cool.
It's well
Think
said.
about this, though. Johnny Kelly has sat in a room with Peter Steele, Glenn Danzig, Zakk Wylde, right? You're going to learn things from these people.
It's like fantasy camp.
It's fantasy camp. And you're going to take little pieces of it and of each artist, and then you're going to apply it. And I do feel like here, this is a playground, a fantasy camp, which is a great way to put it, for Johnny and for Dan. And then to bring, because you travel the world and you meet other bands at festivals, you have relationships. And I'm assuming that that's where Johnny and Dan did that. They came together because they just had commonalities. And you take all these relationships, you bring them together, and you have a fantasy camp album. This is Fantasy Island in the best way possible. I hated that TV show, but this is a Fantasy Island that I would love to live on.
Yeah, for sure.
Not to go backwards, but I was just looking at my notes and I see that we also had Emma Smoller on violin. So I'm not sure who did what violin where, but I want to.
Jonathan Eng too was a violinist.
Yeah, I want to give credit to both of them because it's not an instrument you would typically associate with a metal album, and it lays in there so nicely. And credit to J-Rod Productions, who mixed the album. Did a great job of doing some really cool layering in there. The production is really, really strong on this, and all very approachable. It all feels like it's supposed to be there. And occasionally when you take we'll call it a non-traditional instrument and throw it into a mix, it feels weird. Not the case at all here.
Did you mind did you mind the covers, or would you have rather two fresh or three fresh songs?
No,
I loved it. I thought "I Stole Your Love" was an incredible version of it. Yeah.
So on that front, we were talking earlier today before the podcast about Typo Negative's affinity for taking songs that are kind of soft and making them slow down and really heavy, you know, like Summer Breeze. Here, what's interesting about them is the goal with these covers is to be authentic almost to a degree of the original. Like it's like let me mimic it, but in the best way possible. And it's counter to what Johnny did with Typo Negative, but it's really cool. Like Hole in the Sky has almost the same tones. Like it makes me wonder when we talk to Eric, he says, "Oh yeah, I've got," Johnny's like, "Oh look, Bill Ward's calling me." Right?
Yeah.
How close are they getting, and are they getting inside information on how to mimic Black Sabbath when you have Bill Ward at your disposal?
Right.
But the Hole in the Sky cover for me, and I love Hole in the Sky. It was one of my favorite Sabbath songs. It always has been. And to hear it so pristine and almost so close, but also unique, very, very cool.
And Eric was on that song. He was a bass player. He did the bass on that song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a badass song for sure. I love covers. I love when bands do it. Just like when they did Kashmir, which was incredible. This band, oh God,
what a great version that is!
Right? I mean, just so they're killer. It's a great band, and like he said, it's just how do you? With there's so many artists on here and such talent. Do you expect less? You know what I mean?
Would you call it tremendous?
This is true tremendous talent to its right, Derek, to its core. I mean, this is some talent on here for sure.
We may have touched on this when we talked about Patriarchs before. I'd love to see this live, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they were able to get this whole group of people up on stage, it would be fucking sick.
It would be.
I would assume that they would love to do that, but the logistics of it is such a nightmare.
But it's funny. It's funny he brings that up because the technology today, you could do this with 20 musicians now right out of their studio and do all this stuff. You know better than I do, but that's the love of technology. You can have 20 people on an album and they don't have to leave their home. It's amazing.
Yeah. Do you know who would make it impossible to do it? Johnny. I mean, if you follow him on social media, it's Where in the World. He's Where's Waldo. It's Where's Johnny? And which band is he in?
Yeah,
because
busy dude.
It's that constant, huh? It's that
one second he's got pictures of his dogs and his daughter, and then the next he's somewhere in the world with Quiet Riot, and he's just all over the place, and it's great for him. It's awesome. But there's no way that they'll be able to keep Johnny nailed down to a location or to get him to be able to commit to another band, to be able to tour with.
Right.
It's a wonder he's able to get all the bands in that he works with already, trying to coordinate another 20 people for a live show or much less a tour.
And we get the talent to get those guys to commit. It's huge.
Yeah.
The other thing that he's working on is IAM, which is Crowbar. It's Kenny Hickey from Typo Negative and himself, and then the bassist, and his name, forgive me, I forgot his name, but they're recording a full album as well. And so IAM is another band, and there's a lot of people excited about this, because Kenny Hickey's singing, and so it's almost a combination of Typo Negative and Crowbar, and it's badass. So add something else to his plate, and so he's a busy dude, but this is great stuff. I do hope that they continue to do this, and I do hope that these songs can see the light of day live, because they really should be. Even if Johnny's not playing drums on it, which it's sacrilegious to think that would be the case, but maybe Dan Lorenzo can make it work, and maybe Johnny can pull some time out of the schedule to make that work too, because it would be cool to see these songs live.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
What are the standouts for you guys?
For me, it was Veneration. Just loved the song. It had a little rap lingo in it, which I thought was awesome. Non-Defectrum, which was awesome, and Dead and Gone, my three favorites on the album. Yeah, they were all good, but those were my three specific.
I like Show Them Your Power. That one grabbed me first listen right off the bat. Like I said, I love all the minor vocal harmonies in there. My Veneration. Oh, look at that. We just went dark. My Veneration was another one for me, and Digital Eyes
Digital Lies, great.
Eric Morgan on bass, Carl on vocals. The spoken word stuff in there is awesome. The breakdown is just gnarly.
Oh yeah, Eric's little bass
great.
there.
Yeah, absolutely love that. So those are my three. No, I guess we're gonna finish this one in the dark.
You're gonna be in the dark. You still look better than us. So whatever. For me, the first 8 tracks are the best first 8 tracks I've heard on a rock album in years. I largely have migrated away from rock and roll because it's wimpy. It's kind of pussy these days. It's lacking the oomph, if you will. And these first 8 tracks, and that's not to take anything away from the rest of it, but I love those first 8 tracks, and I've listened to them nonstop. And I couldn't pick one that I wouldn't want to call out.
It's a long record at 13 tracks too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of material on there, and it's all good.
They're nice too. They were only like 3-4 minutes long, so you can go through them real quick.
Yeah.
They were nice. The arrangements were awesome.
I don't know that we need to put numbers on it, but it's we're idiots. It's what we do. let's put numbers on it. Where does everybody land?
I'm a 9. So it was fun. It's just a great rock album. Nothing crazy, but just the talent on the album alone. Like Derek said, from top to bottom, it's great. The covers were great, but it's a 9. It's solid. It's just a really good listen,
Yeah, I had it at an 8.5, and in the end of the day, it's one of the better rock albums I've heard in recent years. Like I keep trying to find rock albums that I like. Like we listened to the new Foo Fighters, and I think it was we were thinking about reviewing. It's like there's a couple good songs that feel like old Foo Fighters. It's not there. Just rock is hurting. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the style of the times that people want everything to sound like Imagine Dragons, but rock needs to get back to being dangerous. And this is a dangerous record to a certain degree. It's also an accessible record. There's some melodies in there, but rock and roll's got to get its balls back. Yeah, and Patriarchs in Black is absolutely understands the past and is trying to reignite the flame of fire. Like, let's fucking burn.
Well said.
Yeah. Right. I fall right between the two of you guys at 8.75. It's a great record, loaded with talent, tremendous talent
this time around for sure.
Great production. I love the mix of it. It's got great performances on it. It's great. I really enjoy it, and it's one that will definitely be in rotation.
And it was cool. Our man Eric got on 5 of the songs, which is awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got a lot of play on this, and he sounded great, as did the band.
Yeah. But Dan, Lorenzo, and Johnny Kelly, they've put together another cool record with good stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
Thank you.
Done.
Honestly,
well done.
Thank you guys. It's needed in the world, and keep doing it, please, for the love of God.
We'd love to have you on for a conversation if you can. Johnny, if you can find the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. He might have to wear diapers when he's playing drums because he's
he can
going from one drum
Dave,
kit to
right?
the next. Yeah, you wear diapers.
Well,
you wear tighty whities. Yeah.
I would love to sit and talk with him just to get a backstory on all these guys dealing with all these, getting together with the guys, how it all happens. I would love to get him on.
Well, you know me, I love talking tech, so I'll talk to any of these guys and talk for probably too long about questions that nobody gives a shit about other than me. So
we'll throw our hat in the ring with Dan and Johnny and see if either of them want to take 15 minutes to hang out with our dumbasses.
It'd be a foolish choice on their part, but we try and sneak a few past every once in a while.
Yeah.
So who's next?
That is me.
And
it's gonna get a little heavy here, guys.
Really?
Going with a band called Three Teeth.
Three Teeth. I know that. I know the name anyway.
Number 3 Teeth.
Yep.
And the new album is End X, ENDEX. Check it out.
End X.
I think you guys are gonna like it. It's a little heavy, which is good. You're turning. I'm starting to turn on.
I like it. You are. Yeah. Yeah. Starting to drink a little bit more.
It'll be a good discussion. It's got a little bit of everything, but I think you guys are going to like it.
Nice. Awesome. Well, boys, always a pleasure. Patriarchs, thank you for another great
job,
record.
Guys.
Loved listening to it. Look forward to continuing to listen
Lick
to it.
it up.
Oh, dude, I don't know what with that.
Oh.
Bring it back.
There's no better way to close out an episode than
Bring it
Derek
back,
singing
Derek.
Kiss
That's
Bring
songs.
right.
it back.
Lick it up. Take us out. Lick it up.
That's good enough for me.
Shit.